Carl and Lou here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life. gbhblofficial.com for short. Boom. End of season 1. It's Freddy's Nightmares, an episodic recap. Episode 22, Safe Sex, the finale of season 1. Directed by Jerry Olson and written by David J. Shaw. Cool. We're here.
Yep.
And guess what? It's a Freddy episode.
Yep.
He is actually integral to this episode. In it, involved actively.
Yep.
Not always the most well thought out,
No.
told
But this is what
example
we
of
want more.
him.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh cool, he's finally back.
Yeah.
Excellent. Give Robert England that fucking paycheck and get him on screen and show him being involved in all this kind of thing. And I think this is done in a cool way because it's really about obsession and him taking advantage of that more than anything else. And I think what's clever about that is that ties into the phenomenon that was Freddy Krueger at certain points. Obviously, Wes Craven's New Nightmare in 95 and 96 would use that way better.
Yeah.
The idea that Freddy Krueger wasn't just a phenomenon, he was fucking for kids to a degree, which is insane when you think about it. And so I think this utilised the idea of someone becoming obsessed with him or interested or seeing him as someone cool. And I find it really, really pertinent and really interesting based off modern times.
Yeah.
Where people, because of TV shows and dramas and stuff like that, have interest in bad people and almost admire them to a certain degree because they played them really well in that show, and it's like, oh, fuck off, you know what I mean, like that kind of aspect. So I think there's all these cool, interesting parallels.
Yeah.
That being said, it doesn't do great. The two stories are linked brilliantly, really, really well, and it's got some really good acting. So it is a good episode overall, I think, but it's just not great.
No.
And I was kind of hoping for great when we got Freddy fully back into it, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the awkwardness wasn't as funny as it should have been. I think it should have pushed further on that.
It's really annoying because the acting is really strong. And you can tell that, again, actors who could probably do more basically. But we should tell you, as far as sex goes, this one is one of the most adult ones out there.
Yes.
Now, obviously, it's very, very light and stuff like that. But my God, I said to you during it, I reckon they would have had to had to have so much input from the network about how far they could go here, from outfits to some of the sexy outfits to even like a topless scene where only hair is covering breasts and stuff like that. So it's all light, but it's a push on this, and sex is a non-stop theme throughout it.
Yes.
That's the other thing as well, including a death that implies,
because
dick being cut off.
Yeah, quite a lot of these episodes you could, have like late evening. Mm-hmm. Whereas some of them, what they discuss goes later at night.
Yeah. So as I said, the two stories link well together. Starting with Dana, who's played by Andrew Woodworth, and he's in therapy, seemingly because he has problems with women. Worrisome character straight away, but to be fair, I think they make sense of it a little bit better as it goes on. Because initially, he's a teenager in therapy because he has women issues.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And he looks very different. In therapy and in school, so I feel like I should have had that standardised.
Yeah, it didn't make sense either because I presumed it was going to lead somewhere. It was kind of like he'd become more suave because of this or whatever and so on, but it doesn't go anywhere at all. It is a bit odd. But basically his issue is that he just isn't into normal girls, so to speak, aka he says the girl next door type, and reveals that he's banged into a girl called Caitlin, who's played by Devon Pierce. She's a goth girl with a mouth to make any teenage boy wet his pants. I don't mean in a sexy way. I mean she's got a mouth that make a nerdy teenage boy cry.
Yeah.
Like she'll give you shit basically. But that's partially because she's an outcast, so she's very defensive and insulting to just about everyone. You say hello to her, she'll tell you to fuck off, that kind of thing. Yeah. Making it impossible for Dana to get to know her, but he's interested with her. So he does try to talk to her. Now, thankfully, this is an interest that I think doesn't have the same vibes as a previous episode where it becomes obsessive. He's just taken in by what she is she's different.
Yeah.
And she will stand out amongst everyone in the school. But it doesn't help that when he does finally pick up the courage to speak to her, his friend Nicholas, played by Patrick Day, best thing in this episode, I think, insults her over her interest in Freddy Krueger.
Oh, I really like that because it's very pertinent to now of it's not a cool trait to kind of idolise these people.
Of course.
And it's always insulting. I've lived here. I know, because it's kind of made out that she's new in town as well, like a new goth in town. And it's like, well, no, I've lived here. I've noticed
this is a monster.
He's a monster, and his effects on my town still has things today. So I liked it. I liked his outburst.
Yeah, we said because he leads with too many insults about how she looks and stuff like that. Yeah. And we said, look, we said to him that, man, do that better next time, brother. You've got the right words, but you're just doing it in the wrong way. We agreed with his thing because she does actually admire Freddy. So I don't particularly like her. No. She is a very good artist, though. We see a drawing of whoever drew that picture of Freddy that she has. I would like that on the wall. Yeah. Amazing. But she calls him a god.
Yeah.
And immediately it's like, well, I'm not going to really be able to like you. And I realise, okay, it's going to be set up that she's going to realise that he's not someone to be admired.
Being young as well, you might say it because it's part of your aesthetic and stuff like that.
Who hasn't said stupid shit when you're a teenager?
God,
do you know what I mean? You know, who hasn't said stupid shit about someone you really, really shouldn't? You know,
wearing offensive band t-shirts. Ooh.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Look, I've got my Cradle of Filth Jesus as a CUNT t-shirt on. You know, I'm so cool. You know, so basically, her interest and obsession with Freddy gets his attention, and the evil one starts to go after Dana in his dreams. Because Dana's dreaming about Caitlin, sexy dreams about the girl. This is the target. This Freddy utilising Caitlin's obsession with him to get to the others.
We like
but
that.
Then put it back on her because of that.
Yep.
Very interesting, very clever way of doing things. It is quite fun, especially during one tryst, near the end of this first segment, when it's getting very sexy. Looks like he's going in his dream, he's going to have sex, but he changes her hair blonde as well like that. Which I thought was quite annoying as well. It was like, no, that doesn't make much sense. If he's obsessed with her, why would he want a hair change?
Yeah, it's quite a big. That's quite a big change.
Big aesthetic for because she's got big, like poofy kind of hair and ends up with long blonde hair instead. But his mother turns up during that dream to lecture him on how she's not good for him. That's quite fun. Yeah. But this is, of course, Freddy playing along, and he ends here as Caitlin is basically Freddy fucking with him, kills the mother, and then kills Dana with his gloved knife hand, implied by the angle that he might have gone down below.
Yep.
And that is the end of that segment. And it's like, okay, cool.
Good.
Beginning, middle, and end. Yep. No worries. How do we roll into a second segment? Pretty fucking well, actually. As the second segment surrounds Caitlin, specifically, and a realisation that she's got Freddy's attention. So she realises that he is real and he's interested and that he's taking advantage of her and how others see her, which is a problem for Nicholas, who has now become interested in her. The opening scene at the funeral is brilliant. Coming out of the funeral and him just having a right go at her, she turns up and stuff like that, and her being hurt as well from that, and him realising he'd gone a bit far as well and stopping and apologising. That's why I said this guy's the best thing in it. Yeah. His acting is phenomenal. But he does seem to be interested in her as well, and they have good chemistry. And while he does initially blame her, he doesn't know her actual involvement and elements like that. Like she basically summoned Freddy. And they do hit it off, which is nice to see. And I like that he almost breaks down some of her barriers. Like he's like, look, let's go here, let's have a chat, nothing, whatever and so on. Let's just talk and get to know each other. And she's offish and all that. And he's like, well, let's do it this way, we can do it this way, you can do that way and all that. And she just sort of softens. And I'm like, cool, that's nice to see. Yeah. I almost wanted to see a little happy ending there, so to speak. But his interest now gets Freddy's attention, of course, and Freddy starts to pursue him, resulting in probably the most risque scene of all in this, I think, which is the library scene.
Oh, yeah.
And the outfit. It's a dominatrix outfit. Yeah. And it's not leaving a lot to the imagination, to be fair. And it's a full bright day as well. Yeah. Like, so do you know what I mean? You're getting a full-on look. And then we kind of jump to him almost immediately on like a wheel where he's being tortured. And then it's just Freddy that finishes the job. Yeah. It is abrupt, but I get they kind of had no choice here. Yeah. And also, we can't have it both ways. In Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy torments, then kills.
Yeah.
This is Freddy tormenting, then killing. Yeah. We can't have it both ways. We can't have deep, meaningful, thoughtful stories that are then dragged out while also complaining about the fact we don't get enough Freddy killing. Yeah. And this is it. He torments and then kills. And I'm like, someone's got to go, that's fine. Yeah,
and I do like the fact that, say, this one started with quite a depressing, a real life funeral.
Yeah.
So the previous events have all been true, and we're starting with a young person's funeral, and the sort of fallout from that, and which leads to another death by Freddy.
Yeah.
I really like the framing of this one.
And we should also say there's a third death as well, because it ends with a realisation as Caitlin is found by paramedics and police dead in her home. She's obviously been killed by Freddy, but that actually looks like she may have overdosed on sleeping pills, because we did say her take some pills and drink some alcohol. Yeah. But there is some writing Freddy like wrote on her chest. Can't remember what he writes or something like that, but like some sort of teasing quote on her chest, which they've put up as self-mutilation. And it's like, you're bad at your job. Yes. You're bad at your job. So there's 3 deaths overall, and it's all quite clearly... It's a Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street story. And yes, it's light on content, it's light on gore, and it's light on depth and, stuff like that. But for what we get for 44 minutes, I think it's strong. Yeah. I think it's strong overall. It's
a good way to end the season, but it does keep highlighting the problems of where you don't get any Freddy for ages. And if you show someone that, out of context, they'd be like, oh, that's just an anthology. Yep. What's the link to Freddy?
Oh God, yeah, try explaining that. We've done the best we can at times and things like that. Yeah. We always come back to the same thing. The majority of the time, don't overthink it and just see Freddy as the puppet master. Yeah. That's it. Moving pieces on a chessboard.
I think if you don't see Freddy, I feel like you could have more people in general conversation. So I like it in other films where, for films like The Stand and stuff, where there's an illness coming and there's little hints to it in the news or in papers that you see. Why can we not have like little nods that Freddy's still around or people still talking about him?
Okay, I think they do. The library scene when he has a go at Caitlin. I think that implies that while Freddy Krueger, the man, is dead, the spectre still exists over that town.
Oh yeah, but in this episode, yeah, but I mean like...
Oh, and elsewhere, right.
We need more of it overall.
Well, we have had the odd hint here and there and stuff like that. The odd hint, but you're right, it's very, very minor. It really, really is. And I really find it interesting that you brought up The Stand, because I was going to mention my notes, but I decided not to. I'm going to mention it now. Caitlin, big poofy hair, always got a grey tinge. Who does she remind you of? If you've seen the Stand TV movie, the 4-hour one, God, she looks like Nadine. Oh, Nadine, when she's got grey hair.
Yeah. I just realised why her hair changes colour. Well, long blonde hair, it covers her.
Of course, yeah. It was up there. And the hair,
80s, the 90s goth hair wasn't covering
nothing. No, God, no. But then you could have filmed that in a way that she didn't get topless, but there you go. Yeah. Listen, we're not going to bang on much more about it. It is episode 22, the finale of season 1 of Freddy's Nightmares. Safe sex. Got any thoughts on it? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.